A show led by Jeri Ryan's Captain 7 is still what much of the Star Trek fan base is waiting for in the wake of Star Trek, Picard Season 3's ending, and even the actress herself has confirmed with her actions and her words that she wouldn't be interested in returning in a show that didn't align with Terry Matalas's post-Star Trek, Picard vision. Ryan reprised her role from the Star Trek, Voyager cast and played the former Borg, 7 of 9, as part of the cast of all 3 seasons of Star Trek, Picard. Although there was a sizable gap between Star Trek, Voyager's ending and when Star Trek, Picard began, seeing Seven's arc continue was rewarding. 7 ended the Patrick Stewart-led sequel to Star Trek, The Next Generation as the captain of the USS Enterprise G, and with Admiral Picard's son on board, it seemed as though the latest version of the iconic sci-fi vessel would return in another spin-off show. Unfortunately, it still hasn't happened yet, but Jeri Ryan seems committed to the idea of continuing where Star Trek, Picard ended. Why Jeri Ryan was right to reject a Captain 7 show that isn't Star Trek, Legacy. Ryan explained her recent decision to turn down an alternate Star Trek project. Speaking at SpaceCon 2024, via Trek Movie, Ryan was questioned in her capacity as a member of the Star Trek, Voyager panel, but not all queries related to the show in which she first played 7 of 9. A fan also pushed her on whether she would eventually return as Captain 7 in the still only conceptual Star Trek, Legacy. Although her reply didn't confirm or deny if the show would happen, Ryan did announce that an alternative project had been pitched to her that would also allow for 7's comeback. Star Trek, Picard Season 3 finale set up a project like Star Trek, Legacy perfectly. Everything was in place to continue the story of an established character like 7 of 9, but also to flesh out newer and original characters like Ed Speleer's Jack Crusher. With John Delancey also back as Q, Terry Matalas's Star Trek, Legacy idea looked to really commit to being another spiritual successor to Star Trek's golden era. If Ryan had accepted the alternate pitch, much of this groundwork would presumably have gone to waste. If Star Trek, Legacy happens, it will be worth the wait. Ryan's patience will hopefully pay off. As Ryan implied, there have only been whispers of something like Star Trek, Legacy actually happening, although Paramount seems to be worryingly open to other ways to bring back 7 of 9. Thankfully, her reluctance to jump the gun and agree to play Captain 7 in a different kind of spin-off increases the chances of the studio aligning itself with Matalas's vision. And Ryan also appears to be very respectful and aware of how the fans want 7 to resurface even if it means waiting a little longer. Hopefully, Ryan's patience holds, and Star Trek, Legacy, or something very similar does actually enter production. Although Star Trek, Picard only ended in 2023, such an exciting spin-off idea has inevitably made the wait to find out what happens next seem much longer. Live-action Star Trek shows are at a premium right now, but Legacy would be an excellent addition to the TV arm of the iconic sci-fi franchise, especially if it also allowed Jeri Ryan to come back as 7 of 9 again. In the vast and ever-expanding world of Star Trek, few characters have captured the imagination of fans quite like 7 of 9. Portrayed by Jeri Ryan, 7 was introduced in Star Trek, Voyager as a former Borg drone who gradually found her humanity. Over the course of the series, her compelling journey from a legacy worth preserving. First and foremost, Jeri Ryan's decision to turn down a Captain 7 of 9 show that isn't part of Star Trek, Legacy is rooted in the concept of legacy itself. 7 of 9's journey is deeply intertwined with Voyager and the Star Trek universe at large. Her story arc in Voyager was not just about overcoming her Borg past, it was about the search for identity and the reconciling of the parts of her that were mechanical with the parts that were human. By the time the series concluded, 7 had achieved a sense of self and belonging that made her one of the franchise's most iconic figures. The success of Star Trek, Picard has proven that Star Trek thrives when it taps into its deep legacy, weaving together the stories of past characters and evolving them in meaningful ways. The introduction of 7 in Picard brought her full circle, reuniting her with old faces like Jean-Luc Picard and Raffi Musiker, and allowed her to evolve as a character without losing the core essence of who she was. As a result, the idea of a standalone series featuring a Captain 7 of 9 outside of that legacy feels like a deviation from the meaningful growth she's already experienced. Turning down a solo show in favor of participating in Star Trek Legacy ensures that Seven remains a part of a larger narrative, one that honors her history while allowing her to continue her journey in a way that aligns with the Star Trek ethos. It allows her to grow naturally, while still paying homage to the journey she began years ago in Voyager. There is something inherently compelling about seeing Seven as part of an ensemble, with her complexity interacting with the broader Star Trek universe rather than being isolated in a show that might not have the same depth or connection. The character's depth requires balance. 7 of 9's character is a tapestry of contradictions, blending the cold logic of the Borg with the emotional nuances of a human. This balance requires careful writing and a deep understanding of who Seven is. A show built solely around her, especially one where she assumes the captain's mantle, risks diluting the complexity that made her character so compelling in the first place. As a leader, Seven's transformation from a Borg drone to a self-aware individual is still ongoing. She is a character who has not yet fully shed the remnants of her Borg past, and any narrative that focuses solely on her leadership could fall into the trap of simplifying or mischaracterizing the aspects that made her interesting in the first place. Her command of a ship could be fascinating, but it requires an understanding that Seven is not your typical captain. Her leadership style would be informed by her past experiences, her unique blend of empathy and logic, and her drive to ensure the safety of others. A show that tries to push her into the traditional role of a Starfleet captain risks misrepresenting the character's true potential. Furthermore, the burden of carrying a show alone can be a double-edged sword. Many beloved characters shine brightest when they are part of a larger ensemble, playing off the strengths of others. Star Trek has always been about teamwork, whether it's the Enterprise crew in the original series or the Voyager crew. Seven was never just a singular presence. She interacted with a wide range of personalities, from Captain Janeway to the Doctor, to Tuvok, and beyond. It is this interplay that made her more than just a former Borg. The idea of a Captain 7 of 9 show, where she takes on the mantle of leadership alone, could risk making her a one-dimensional figure.